Hello everybody and welcome to our second episode of MEERAcast, our podcast about the upcoming stage production Meera, and giving you an interesting ear to all things theatre, all things dance, and what it truly means to take an international stage production all around the globe. So today I'm here with Chamkaur. Hello, welcome.
Hi George.
So Chamkaur, tell us who you are. Give us an introduction to someone who doesn't know you. What do you do?
Well, basically, I'm a retired professor of drama. Was teaching drama at Bond University for many years. Informal drama, it was obviously, because Bond doesn't have a faculty or department of drama as such. So basically, what I did was I was asked to teach communicative skills and language to international students, and I thought that one of the problems with speaking in public as far as international students are concerned is the sense of loss of face, of shyness, of the fear of making mistakes if it's a bookish way of learning the language. So I thought, well, let's try drama. I said, let's just throw in certain scenarios and get them to speak using their whatever grammar mistakes they're making, whatever mispronunciation is, but let's get them to open up. And so drama allowed me to do that. And in the process, Australian and American students joined in. And before we knew it, we had a full-fledged language and drama course, which worked really well. Now, prior to that, I was born in Malaysia and lived in Malaysia for a large part of my life. I did a lot of theatre from around the age of 8 or 9. And I went through university, did a degree course in literature, and that obviously incorporated drama. And so I was really fully involved in theatrical productions with the British Council and other Malaysian organizations. And I then set up my own theatre company, a professional theatre company, and we did a few plays before. Lo and behold, I got my permanent residence in Australia. So in 1991, I came over and I said, dear, there it goes. It's gone. I'll never be in theatre anymore. But as I said, Bond University, sort of took up that,
they picked you up.
Yeah, they said, I said, look, I went up to the dean and I said, we don't have a course that is specifically relates to the application of drama strategies in language learning, so what about it, Oh yeah, he said, go for it. And before I know it, I found that Bond was the only university in Australia that was conducting drama-based language teaching. It was very, very successful. Then there was also a drama club at Bond, and we staged a few plays involving students and staff, among them 12 Angry Men, which we, because I wanted women to play the lead roles, I changed the title to 12 Angry Jurors. And we did, Chekhov. We did, names won't come to mind. As you get older, you forget things. But it's part and parcel of the developmental process, But yeah, I think in the period of time that we were there, we did at least 6 to 8 plays away from what my students were doing. So my students would every semester write plays and stage them as part of their assessment. So that's a very large nutshell, but
definitely one hell of a resume.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I know I'm actually a fellow Bondie, and it's really great to actually hear that. I didn't know that much, or your extensive history with Bond and how they really do endorse and encourage that really immersive and experiential learning, which I guess we do at Wild Dreamer Productions as well. So how did you then stumble into Meera? What brought you into this beautiful stage show?
I was, sort of cheerfully going through my closing lectures because I was about to retire at Bond, and I was packing up and stuff, and suddenly I got this phone call from one of Artie's friends, and she said, would you like to blah blah blah? And I said, what's going on? She said, we're doing a little play, and Artie Bajaj, whom I'd heard of but I hadn't met, is like you to, if possible, help out. I said, yeah, I'm about to retire. It'd be a nice sort of transition into retirement, doing a theatrical production. So I met her, and she immediately struck me as somebody who had this spark that I hadn't seen in a lot of theatre people on the Gold Coast. The Gold Coast, by and large, is a bit of a cultural desert, as you'd imagine. And here was this young lady wanting to do a production all on her own. So I said, "Yeah, I'll help out." Little realizing the extent to which she was taking the play, and when I went to a few rehearsals, and I did have my doubts, as you would imagine. Did have my doubts, thinking that, oh, I think she's bitten off more than she can chew. But when as we went through the weeks and the months, and about a year later, I saw the play in its entirety, and then I went for this dress rehearsal. I said, "Whoa!" I said, "This is it. I think I found something to do that'll keep me occupied."
I've definitely got something to fill all my time.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I missed the play because I had told Artie way in advance that I was going to Thailand with my wife, who's a law professor, and she was going on a conference there, and we were away for about a month. So I missed the actual production.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So you haven't even seen Meera yet.
All I saw was the dress rehearsal, which, as you know, dress rehearsals are dress rehearsals. You see dresses and you see a rehearsal, and that's basically it. But I heard all kinds of wonderful things after that from people who'd seen it. And, there are always detractors. You cannot get away from them. So when I came back, I met a few who said, no, that was, we didn't enjoy it. And I said, well, hang on. I said, well, why? He said, oh, it wasn't spiritual enough. It wasn't religious enough. I said, it's a love story, and it's done with a twist. What Artie's done very cleverly is given it a new face. She's meandered away from what the traditional Indian theatre would be, and incorporated Western dance and Western music and Indian music, and there's such a buzz. There's such a pizzazz about this play that I couldn't understand why they were. And I told Artie, look, haters will be haters, just ignore them, and keep going where you are. And so, well, again, coming back to where we are now, when she came back to me after the production to say, look, we're taking this play to Auckland. Oh, I was rocked back on my heels, and I said, really? I said, well, that's another huge step you're taking. But what I saw in that young lady, and I still see in her, is something nobody else on the Gold Coast is doing. Taking on theatre in a way, singly taking on theatre in a way that nobody else, I know, at least to the best of my knowledge, has done on the Gold Coast. Yes, there are theatre groups, Yes, they have stage productions in various theatres, but I haven't seen anybody so dogged in her plans for what she wants to do with this play. So when she said, look, let's go, and I said, that's a human dynamo. She is dynamic, and I want to encourage her. I've been in theatre for 45 years. I've seen all kinds of stuff, but this is new to me. So that's moral of the story. You never stop learning, and so I'm learning a lot from Artie about what new directions theatre can take on the Gold Coast.
I know, and I think you touched on a really great point, because it is so exciting to not only be a part of the journey, but also Artie's journey as well, because we actually got to talk to Artie last week and talk a bit about her journey and how she started out with almost no profile at all, and how she's now worked to build this show from nothing. And I think that following along with her story, it's something that is just so special, just as much as doing the show as well. It's really great to work alongside her. And tell us, what is it like for you to work alongside her? What's it like being immersed in that kind of creative decision-making process? Because I know that obviously you're the drama consultant for the show, so you have a lot of influence on how the characters are coming together. So what is it like really being alongside her and being immersed in creating the show into what it was and what it is going to now be for the future?
Right. I see her as mixed doubles tennis or badminton or whatever you want to call it. We're the same team. And when she said, look, there's a drama consultant, I'd like you to advise us on the various bits and pieces of what theatre is. So I said, all right, it's the actors you want. Let's see which person suits which role. And then it's how they enact the scenes, how they internalize what is required of them. Excuse me. And also the technical aspects, like blocking. Blocking is so important, particularly with inexperienced actors. They're all over the place, so you've got to train them to stand in certain positions using certain angles, because the stage is just life at that particular moment. It's life.
And just to jump in, that's to make sure that there's certain characters not blocking other people on the stage. Right?
That's right. So your positioning on stage is important, and also the fact that when you're acting on stage, it's not real life. A lot of them, especially new actors, come in and they think, "Ah, yes, the camera's on me." I said, "This is not cinema. It's not television where you got little mics picking up your voice, cameras from different angles picking up little twitches on your face or little movements. No, the theater with an audience of anything from 100 to 500 to 800, whatever number of people sitting there, requires larger than life movement. It requires voice projection. So in a sense, stage theater is artificial, but actors have got to get their heads around the fact that they are not, it's not Chamkaur, it's not George, it's a character acting a certain role. So you take off that mask of George or Chamkaur and you put on the mask of the character and you immerse yourself in the role. So it's quite difficult with new actors because it takes a lot of repeating certain actions, repeating certain lines in a particular fashion before they internalize what's required. Thank God, so far with all the actors in Meera, they all seem to have understood what's required of them, and we can just keep our fingers crossed that they do it on the day of the production, because it's a one-off. It's not like cinema or theater, or television. You have many takes. No, it's one-off. You make a mistake, you carry on. Okay, the show must go on.
Of course, and that was even more so last year when it was our only show. That was the one only moment that they had. So there's no time to freeze or stop or think about it. You just gotta keep rolling it and keep doing the best performance that you can. It's amazing. It's exciting. It's a really immersive show, and I think you really touched on that with what it's like when the characters are on stage and they're acting. It is so immersive, and I think that's even more entrapulating when you have our projections all around the theatre. Unfortunately you weren't able to be there on 4th of November, but actually being in the theatre and not only having that show, having the cast doing such an amazing job, but then also having these amazing galaxy projections and colours and scenes projected onto the literal walls and roof of the theatre. It was a complete immersive experience. It was magical. I must say, we have a recording of the show, so we will definitely have to get that across to you so you can actually experience it before Auckland. But you talked a bit about the influence and especially your influence as well as bringing in the Western culture, or the influence of that Indian style with the Western cultures and elements as well. Can you talk a bit about how that kind of looks for Meera?
Well, I think theatre allows us to imagine. We enter the world of imagination, and that gives us a whole new dimension. I.e., you can blend cultures, you can blend notions, concepts, and produce a play. Like when I mentioned 12 Angry Men, which was essentially an all-male play. And when I looked at the script and said, hang on, women can do these roles. And so I converted it, not changing the script in any way, but having females. So that's what I mean, that when you take a play and you incorporate your own personality into it, you of course you do the playwright justice by ensuring that it is staged as honestly as possible. But with this particular production, it's just fascinating to see, Indian culture and pole dancing and ballet and so on and so forth, all as if it was meant to exist.
It is. It's almost organic the way it comes together.
Organic is the word, George. Organic is the word. And that's the first thing I told my wife I was watching it. This is so organic. it's developing, it's progressing, it's a flower blooming, the petals all starting to reveal themselves, and just the energy that the actors, that the play had, even at the dress rehearsal, it was not, obviously not what was finally staged, but even at the dress rehearsal, I said to myself, how has this one person been able to get everybody around to her way of thinking? Look, all I can say, George, is we have to support this person. We have to support Aarti. We have to encourage her to proceed without caution. Seriously,
I think that is a good idea.
Yeah, because if she's held back, it is detrimental to her.
She's just going to explode.
She will, she will just atrophy, and that's that, So we've got to, and if she stalls, give her a tiny little push. So I made that my whatever time my finishing line is. As you get older, the finishing line appears more crystal clear in front of you. I told myself, for the next 3 to 4 years, whatever she does, I want to help her produce. So we're looking at other productions. I've suggested 1 or 2 other plays that she might want to do. But with Meera, I think she's achieved something, as I mentioned earlier, nobody else on the Gold Coast has. More power to her.
Yeah, it's so exciting, and hearing what's been in store for Aarti and what could be in store as well going forward. And obviously the show last year was so amazing. Some loved it, some had some other things to say. But is it, for 2019 in Auckland, is it the exact same show as last year? Is there been any changes? Is it the exact same cast? How is Auckland kind of coming together in that scope?
Yes, I think after decided, and we had a chat, and she said, look, let's get some professionals and let's get people in Auckland involved. So that basically meant that we had to release some of the Gold Coast actors. Some just couldn't make it, just couldn't fly to Auckland. And so we sourced actors in Auckland. We got a nice bunch of people. We auditioned. I think it was basically a day-long auditioning event. And we got some really interested, very enthusiastic actors. And now our job is to get them to memorize their lines. The difference between what happened on the Gold Coast and what's going to happen in Auckland is the voices were pre-recorded. So the actors really basically acted to pre-recorded voices. So they could actually mouth the words without having to memorize the lines. And some of them, particularly those with large mustaches covering their lips, they could have been saying anything under those mustaches, they could have seen anything, but the voices that were coming out, the recorded voices were very obviously very clear.
There's people like the evil villain who had a huge curly mustache, right?
That's right.
Of course, Vikram Sung.
Yeah. So now the whole thing has changed. They've got to memorize their lines, they've got to project their voices. So it is different in that sense. There have been a few little changes to the script, minor details, which have added on to, I think, the depth in the play. So essentially, same costumes, same plot, new faces, and the actors are responsible for creating personalities using their voices. Their own voices, not recorded, not pre-recorded, but there and then. So yes, so it's a task for some.
So you were really like empowering all these people to once they put on that costume, they are no longer who they were, but they are now that character, and whatever personality they emit and put out is their own kind of creation. But that is what is technically going to bring the show even so much more alive than last year. Yeah. Wow, and how are the cast shaping up this year?
Yeah, touch wood, we seem to be moving forward quite effectively. I've been now to Auckland 3 times and met the actors. We had a few rehearsals. They're all quite keen. I'm just warning them on overconfidence and, unfortunately, the ego factor. It can come in sometimes unobtrusively, other times very, very obviously. And I've indicated to them that stage actors cannot afford to feel entitled. They are part of a team. no team succeeds if one player wants to outshine the others. You got to be part of the team. And so I'm quite happy with the way things are progressing at this stage. I'll be going there again next Wednesday, um, conducting rehearsals, intensive rehearsals over 3 days. It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday coming. Um, and we'll see. But I'm really confident that we'll get there. With the people that we have, they're dedicated, they're enthusiastic, they want to be part of this play, and they're making time. We might have to, slap a few wrists and yeah.
Hopefully less than many.
Yes.
But I know that was definitely something that we felt last year, especially being so much more of a community-driven show than what we were this year. There was definitely that everyone had to pull together, and it was no one person that could help make the show what it was, but it was our huge collective and the huge power behind that vision that really did bring it to life. It was just something so amazing to be part of. So you talk a bit about obviously flying between here and New Zealand first, obviously been to some rehearsals, keeping the whole team in line. But have you been to the theatre yet? Have you been to ASB?
Oh yes.
Tell us what it's like in there, because even I haven't been in there, and I would love to hear.
I'll have it. Yes, well, it's a smaller version of Hotter, on the Gold Coast, but it's a pretty little theatre. It's got fantastic acoustics, wonderful stage, beautiful seating. I believe that the seats have been sponsored by various personalities on the Gold Coast, so that's really helped the theatre. So people actually say, "Look, here's my seat. My name's engraved, or plaques put under the seat."
Yeah.
So that basically the whole theatre is made up, I believe, of sponsored seats.
That's cool.
And the gods, as we see, the balcony, the upper levels are really wonderful. I walked up there and I looked down at the stage. You can see the stage from every angle.
Wow.
Backstage, beautiful. The actors' rooms, toilets, etc. So I think we've got a wonderful place to stage this play, and I think it'll be an eye opener to quite a few Aucklanders, Aukies, the people of Auckland, who are into theatre. They'll not seen anything like this before. So right now I think the flyers and the posters, as they're being sent around to various organizations in Auckland, indicate that it's a play that might incorporate sitars and Bollywood dancing. I hope not, But if they see it, once they get there, it's a cultural experience. And at various points, you recognize yourself. You recognize your own culture. Whether you're Indian, or whether you're Aussie, or whether you're a Kiwi, you recognize bits and pieces. And you can relate to the entire play. These are like little neurons, linked to each other. And the effect of, I hope they have the haka scene at the end. The haka is spellbinding. That's the plan, to have it in the play, and I hope it is part of the play. That alone, I think, will gel so many things together that we're going to have at the end a majority of the audience giving them a standing ovation, and they deserve it.
Yeah, I was there on the 4th of November when I saw it, even just at Hota, the theatre here on the Gold Coast. And even that got standing ovation and almost had me in tears watching it. So the way that you describe ASB, I can't even wait to see not only that theatre, but also seeing it immersed in that world of MEERA, seeing MEERA everywhere, seeing the cast on stage, and some of the cast from Australia, some from New Zealand. And it's going to be something truly magical to watch. I've been looking through pictures on the ASB website on the MEERA page, and it just looks fantastic.
Yeah, we've got dedicated professionals, getting together, particularly from the technical aspect. So, look, I think we're in for a wonderful experience, and I am looking forward to actually finally seeing the finished product.
Of course, of course. I'm so excited to see it, and getting you to actually see it for a time in full. Now, there's one more thing I want to ask, because obviously you are on the front line with these characters. You are there day in, day out at their rehearsals, especially every time here on the Gold Coast and whenever you can get to Auckland. And I caught you here, I think it was last week, for a few moments, and you were telling me about one of our main characters, Ishani, who played young Meera in 2018 and will be again playing her in 2019. And you're telling me how she's just developed this whole new dimension, this level to her depth and her ability on stage. And something that I have been so intrigued and thinking about since we had that conversation was, what is it like to be alongside these people and start with them, and especially obviously last year and working with these guys for a full year to 18 months and watching that kind of development and growth and how it's panning out for this year as well. What is it really like to be like alongside them and watch these amazing aspiring professionals to grow?
Oh, it's a marvelous experience. I mean, you work with adults, and you always fear that when you work with children that something might give. Now, Ishani, you mentioned her just now. I really, truly hope that she makes theatre one of her aims in life, because that young girl, that young lady, she has talent personified. She's talent personified. She has such an ability with relating to the lines, such skill at interacting with the actors and relating to the audience, because stage acting on stage requires you to relate with the audience, and she's doing that well. So working with people like this, whether they're children or adults, I feel fulfilled, especially when I see them as doing certain things, and I tell them, look, why don't you do it this way? Why don't you look in this direction and say your lines in a particular way? And they do it. There's something in me just goes boom. Yes, I've done it. I've got somebody, and I've got somebody in the image that I wanted that person to be in. Like I've told all the actors. A famous director once before said, actors sometimes get wrapped up with themselves, and everybody thinks they are different parts of the clock, but the director can see the time, and so that stayed with me right through my young years up to, even now. So I tell them, you're a team. Do not, when I work with you, don't think that I want you to be me, or I want you to be yourself. I want you to be somebody that is recognized excuse me, as a person who is part of the play. And so people like Ishani do that.
Yeah.
She may have a tiny role. I really hope down the track, if I have the energy and she's grown up, that I get to work with her.
Maybe that can be your retirement project. Maybe not Meera, because I think Meera's getting a bit too hectic for that. But yeah, maybe taking Ishani under your wing. And I agree, especially, I only mentioned only Ishani's story, but that's everyone from Amit to Bahini, everyone seeing these people who have some interest, some, even if it's starting out as just some leniency towards the arts, to see these people get involved and to just completely come out of their shell. Okay. It's magical. And I know that we truly can't wait to then once share that magic again for the second time and have you there this time in Auckland. We do have tickets available now. They're actually available discounted rate as part of our early bird special. You can get them either on our website. You can head to ASB's website. You can see me. We'll have Chamkaur there. Will you be there this year? Can you guarantee?
I am going to be there, and wild horses won't keep me away. Yeah.
No conference, no nothing. You will be there in the theatre.
I'm going to be there. Buy tickets, guys.
We can't wait to see as many of you there. So thanks so much, and we'll be back soon, guys. Talk to you later.
My pleasure. Thanks, George.